My dad doesn't believe in just making empty promises. He actually acts on them and delivers. I think that's something he has instilled in all of my siblings and I since growing up, and I know if elected, that's what he's going to do. He's going to make things happen and make things change.
Tiffany Trump, in contrast to her siblings, has remained out of the political commotion and kept a low profile throughout the years. But that all changed today. Let it be known that Tiffany has finally spoken up about her father, Donald Trump, and it isn't quite gushing adulation that he is accustomed to. Although some have found it startling, the most pressing issue is, why at this moment? So what did she say that has everyone talking? Hold on tight, because this story will leave you in a state of shock, agreement, or wondering how deep it goes. Join us. The Trumps' marriage to Marla Maples lasted from 1993 to 1999. Tiffany was born during their marriage. Unfortunately, Marla and Donald's 1999 divorce was quite public. Then Marla Maples and a young Tiffany Trump uprooted their lives and moved to sunny Calabasas, California. In all candor, the life they led out there paled in comparison to the glamorous, fast-paced New York existence that Tiffany's half-siblings had known. Tiffany had a very different upbringing than Donald Trump's elder children, who grew up in the middle of Manhattan among skyscrapers, high-powered meetings, and the continual hum of their father's enterprise. Imagine a large home that Marla might relate to from her childhood in Georgia, complete with a tranquil, nature-filled setting, a large backyard, and a trampoline. Calabasas offered the tranquility and peace that Marla wished for her daughter, in contrast to the hectic and ambitious New York. The silence from Tiffany Trump has been deafening. Staying on the outside, she has avoided the scandal that has surrounded her father's administration and years after leaving the White House. But now she's coming clean with something that might alter how people see Donald Trump for all time. Could you tell me what she said and why it hurt him so much? This is something you really must hear. Marla was completely committed to providing her young girl with a typical and balanced life, not simply because she was parenting Tiffany. You know how some famous people's children seem to live in a world of their own, totally insulated from the outside world? Marla prevented it from occurring. She devoted herself wholeheartedly to providing Tiffany with a safe, stable, and healthy environment. Her concern extended beyond simply keeping Tiffany grounded. What they did on a daily basis was as pure as it gets. 5 nights a week of organic home cooking? Please verify. To keep Tiffany occupied, would you recommend tennis and other outdoor pursuits? Sure thing. Missionary journeys to underdeveloped nations like Malawi to expose her to reality? It was guaranteed by Marla. Then there were the insignificant details like movie evenings, which formed a unique bonding ritual for the mother and daughter. These traditions endure because they are meaningful. Even while Tiffany had a more low-key upbringing than her Trump siblings, it doesn't imply she wasn't immersed in affluence and exclusivity. She went to the exclusive Viewpoint School, where the annual tuition was close to $30,000. Clearly not your typical high school. Tiffany continued to hang out with famous people, even while Marla tried her best to keep her home life low-key and unassuming. Marla was determined to maintain Tiffany's life as balanced as possible, regardless of the ostentatious ties. Rather than being known simply as Donald Trump's daughter, Tiffany wanted her kid to discover who she was. To escape her father's imposing presence, her mother moved us out of New York to get out of the spotlight and let me grow up and find my own identity instead of living in the shadow of a name, as she once put it, recognizing her mother's deliberateness in the matter. But hear me out. Tiffany and her dad weren't even somewhat distant. She kept in touch with Donald despite having grown up on the other side of the country. They didn't exactly spend every weekend together, though. Rather, their bond was established via meticulously arranged visits. Visiting New York on a frequent basis allowed her to stay at Trump Tower, dine with her father and Melania, and receive a look into the glamorous life her half-siblings had. The fact that Donald was present throughout the pivotal periods is commendable. He never missed an opportunity to go out to California to be there for Tiffany's big school activities, award ceremonies, or achievements. Even though Trump was too busy to be involved in Tiffany's daily life, Marla made a concerted effort to keep the father-daughter relationship intact. Keeping her own thoughts for Donald out of Tiffany's connection with him was something Marla did on purpose. Considering how chaotic some divorces may become, that is, to be honest, rather commendable. Neither did she criticize him, meddle, or force her views on Tiffany. It was evident that she was parenting Tiffany on a daily basis. As she previously commented, her daddy is a good provider with education and such, but as far as time, it was just me. Donald took care of the money side of things. Even though they were far apart, she still gave Tiffany room to think about her father in her own way. I simply expressed the importance of her developing her own bond with him, independently of me, she clarified, describing her approach to co-parenting as healthful. Consequently, Tiffany spent part of each Christmas season in the calm West Coast life she had with her parents, and part of each season in the vibrant world of Trump Tower and Mar-a-Lago. To put it mildly, it was an unusual childhood. Tiffany had a very different upbringing than Ivanka, Don Jr., and Eric, who were all pawns in their father's business. She valued normalcy, freedom, and self-discovery above power and legacy. All of this could not have happened without Marla Maples, a mother who waited for her daughter to be ready before stepping out into the limelight, unveiling the campaign trail. Being the daughter of a presidential candidate thrust Tiffany Trump into a realm she had never truly been a part of before as the 2016 campaign heated up. The public eye, politics, and the relentless media scrutiny that accompanies such a position. When it came to their father's business and public life, Ivanka, Don Jr., and Eric had always been in the spotlight, while Tiffany had preferred to be on the sidelines. However, everything changed in 2016. With an air of refined understatement, she began to make well-coordinated public appearances, entering the campaign trail in her own unique style. Among her earliest significant public appearances in her new position was at a Wounded Warriors Project event hosted by the White House. The objective was precisely that it wasn't meant to be attention-grabbing or extravagant. In addition to not wanting to be the campaign's public face, Tiffany had no intention of making any strong political remarks or giving speeches. Standing silently but firmly by her father's side, she instead demonstrated her support for his goals. She wasn't trying to be a radical political figure, but she also wasn't going to sit on the sidelines and do nothing. She was clearly finding her groove. If Tiffany's presence on the campaign trail was marked by anything, it was her unique style of clothing. Political campaigns aren't runway shows, so it might not seem like a huge issue at first. Tiffany, on the other hand, found a modest yet effective means of self-expression through her clothing choices. She became known for wearing works by Chinese designer Taorui Wang, to whom she often resorted for special occasions. She attended a debate, the inauguration, and election night, all while dressed in Wang's creations. Unlike her siblings, who favored more conventional American designers, Tiffany's selections had a global flair, a combination of sophistication and edginess. Perhaps she was trying to make a statement with her unique sense of style, or perhaps she was trying to escape a politically charged household where her every move was watched closely. It didn't matter. She made it her own, and everyone took note. People failed to see that Tiffany also received something far more personal, quality time with her father, as a result of the campaign. Since she and Donald Trump came from different backgrounds, their connection was always colder than that of her siblings until 2016. However, that was altered during campaigning. Between campaign trips, private jet flights allowed them to have rare one-on-one time away from the cameras, crowds, and the perpetual noise of politics. After then, Tiffany's big moment arrived at the 2016 Republican National Convention. Anyone curious about her role in Trump's campaign machine might have their explanation in this speech. She should be commended for not attempting to pretend to be someone she wasn't. Tiffany centered her endorsement speech on her memories of her father, rather than giving a furious political speech, like Don Jr., or a slick businesslike one, like Ivanka. She gushed about his ability to inspire greatness in others, his unwavering support for her own development, and his encouragement to pursue success. The guy behind the legendary character was given a gentler, more intimate portrayal. Just a daughter speaking about her father. No strong political rhetoric or contentious quotes. Though methodical, her approach belied her true self. However, Tiffany's tone changed by 2020. She had crossed the line into political terrain when her homage became more than simply an individual act. That year, Tiffany took a much stronger stand against media and tech, warning that people's thoughts, opinions, and even votes were being manipulated and visibly coerced. She urged voters to exceed political boundaries and to judge leaders based on results, not rhetoric. This was a very different Tiffany compared to the one who had spoken 4 years prior. She was clearly no longer the reserved, style-conscious Trump daughter. She was expressing herself, whether it was because to her growing confidence in the political limelight or an increased urge to speak up. Ivanka, Eric, and Donald Jr. have always been close to Donald Trump, but Tiffany? For years that has remained a riddle. Her remarks are breathtaking as she now unveils the truth about what has been happening behind closed doors. Is this the event that finally cracks the code for the Trumps? The president's life. Throughout his presidency and after, Donald Trump's connection with his daughter Tiffany changed in profound ways. Things appeared stable at first, but they gradually grew farther apart. Despite this, they continued to have infrequent phone conversations, sometimes months going by without a word said. Attending an event hosted by the Wounded Warriors Project was her first significant experience in Washington. Without a rousing speech or sensational headlines, it was a solemn day when she stood in solidarity with her father's endeavors. I mean, it was really her strategy all through that time. She was not in the center of the action, influencing policy or creating a commotion. She wasn't attempting to steal the show all the time, but she was there when it counted. Consider this. Tiffany was busy slaving away at her legal degree at Georgetown University, while her siblings were the center of attention at every big political event, delivering speeches and mobilizing followers. That's quite an accomplishment, particularly considering Trump's surname. Despite the political intrigue that surrounded her family, she was able to forge her own career, carrying the burden of that name with her wherever she went. The media couldn't help but keep tabs on the president's daughter, even when she wasn't causing a stir. And in 2019, she became the center of attention in a manner she likely wasn't anticipating. The offhand remark by presidential aide Madeleine Westerhout implied that Trump dislikes having his photo taken with Tiffany due to her physique. Just picture yourself hearing that from someone in the White House about your own father. A lot of people were talking about it since the media picked it up. By the time Trump attempted to publicly declare, "I love Tiffany," in an effort to shut it down, the damage had already been done. Regardless of its veracity, it caused many to question the depth of their bond. Tiffany, through it all, was there when it counted. She spoke at the 2020 RNC with a new vigor, but she was still the main attraction. Unlike in 2016, she wasn't simply being nice when she spoke about her dad. She had a message this time, a warning about the manipulation of information and media bias. She criticized the media for influencing public opinion and urged individuals to form their own opinions. For someone who had kept a low profile in politics, it was an incredibly bold move. In contrast to Ivanka, who never shied away from discussing her dad in casual terms, Tiffany kept things businesslike. She failed to portray him as the loving father figure or offer any heartwarming tales about their relationship. On the contrary, she was laser-focused on supporting his policies. All it took was that. Tiffany always prioritized her family when it mattered, even if she wasn't constantly at the White House. When she wasn't the one who posted non-stop family updates, Ivanka nevertheless made sure to include her in social media images of Trump family events when she was at Mar-a-Lago for the holidays. Although she didn't seem to be really involved in politics, it was also apparent that she wasn't totally aloof. She deftly balanced being involved while still retaining her independence. Tiffany discovered a means to make her presence known without drawing attention to herself in a home where doing so was practically mandatory. That's no picnic, particularly when you have a last name that invites unending scrutiny. While her father was in the spotlight, Tiffany Trump remained out of the public eye, becoming the most reclusive member of the Trump family. But now that she has spoken up, everyone is talking about what she disclosed about Donald Trump. Her words were, "What makes it so surprising anyway? Everything will change after this, so stay tuned." Right now, where their bond is. An interesting aspect within the Trump family has always been Tiffany's connection with her father. Marla Maples chose to raise Tiffany in relative obscurity because she wanted her daughter to avoid the limelight, in contrast to her elder brothers who were very involved in their father's politics and business. Things have changed in 2024 and 2025, though, and none saw it coming. Tiffany has taken on a new role, one that embodies her love for her father and her desire to be true to herself. As a result of Ivanka's departure from politics and Eric and Don Jr.'s continued vocal public support, anyone from such a famous family must be juggling a lot of responsibilities, right? As an example, consider the 2025 Milwaukee Convention. What began as a routine occurrence, another cog in the Trump brand's political machine, turned out to be the unveiling of something far more intriguing. Tiffany approached her father with a radiant grin and was prepared to embrace him, but the meeting had an unsettling quality. Perhaps it was the real-life drama of their convoluted past unfolding before their own eyes, or maybe it was the odd timing, or both. She recovered swiftly and went back to her seat next to Michael Boulos, her husband, as gracefully as ever after whatever it was. It may have seemed like a tiny moment, but it spoke a lot. In it, we saw a daughter who was there for her dad and encouraging, but who was also dealing with the difficult but genuine task of finding her place in his family. Not for a single second either. News about Tiffany's increasing role in Trump's political circle has been dominating headlines for some time. She has been a powerful public speaker, making appearances at important campaign events, and even taking the stage in Reading, Pennsylvania. In a moving speech, she proclaimed, "Hello, we love you, we support you, and my father's here fighting for you, and he's never gonna let you down." Her sincere delivery made her bold statement stand out. Instead of robotically following along or acting, she gave her undivided attention to the task at hand. Lately, it has become the trend. It is evident that Tiffany is making a name for herself, from the Detroit Economic Club event, where Trump proudly announced her pregnancy and referred to her as an exceptional young woman, to the Pittsburgh campaign gathering, where he candidly discussed his children's varying degrees of involvement. There is a more natural and less theatrical interaction between Trump and his current political advisors, according to individuals close to the family. This includes Tiffany, one of Trump's children. Beyond their roles in the political theater, they are also discovering the reality of their relationships off of the campaign path. Specifically, Tiffany has figured out how to help out her dad while staying true to herself, a balancing act that has always been difficult for her but is finally starting to work for her. Fundamentally, this isn't only about making a good impression or participating in politics. What follows is the story of a daughter who, after years of living in her father's shadow, finally finds a means to re-establish a relationship with him when she wants to. Despite his ostentatious behavior, the father in this story appears to care deeply about his daughter, who was formerly on the periphery of his life. And it's about the dynamic nature of family, how connections alter, priorities evolve, and ultimately, what matters most isn't always what gets the most attention. Tiffany Trump may prefer it if she is never the most prominent member of the Trump family, and I don't blame her. Nothing can contradict the fact that her bond with her dad has evolved, and in a world where their every step is being watched, that shift deserves our attention. We have reached the final segment of this video. Many thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe, like, and comment if you found this video entertaining. If you want to see more exciting stories, just click the video that appears.